And I keep having to stop myself from saying It Follows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's real.
Because it feeds, but I want more It movies, and not like the clown. I'm talking like It Bakes, like It Goes in the Sauna, like It Verbs. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like I'm
yes.
very into like this like chain of movies that we can get, like It Drag Races.
Right.
It.
I want to see that one.
I'll see It Drag Races for sure.
Yes. Fantastic.
It Gets a Haircut.
Ooh, we love to see it.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very
I see dead people.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha. And this is Talking Horror with Jamie.
And Nikisha.
Where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Always the air horns. Such a That's So Talking Horror. Today.
Yeah, we carry them around, I always have it on hand. You never know when you need a
We're
good
air
horn.
horny.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Maybe not that.
Please, I hate that. Nope.
But we use them when we need them. And we need them for today because we are talking about the 2025 Canadian supernatural horror film, It Feeds.
It always says the same thing. Is he here right now? Can you point to it?
Yum, 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 yum. Delicious.
Ooh, that sounded like it tasted good. So this movie was written and directed by Chad Archibald, and it stars Ashley Greene, Sean Ashmore, Ellie O'Brien, and Juno Rinaldi. So heavy spoilers, if you have not seen It Feeds, it is streaming right now on the Hulus. So watch it on there if you haven't seen it. Then come back and listen to us, see if you agree with what we have to say about it. And Jamie, please hit us with the trigger warnings for It Feeds.
Sure thing. There is therapy, but not therapy. Unclear. There's references to therapy, but I don't think that we see actual therapy in this.
Fair.
Well, yeah,
Therapy.
no.
Yeah, no? No, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
And there is some like supernatural ability to like read people's minds. So if you're not into like supernatural stuff, it feels also kind of like pseudo hypnosis.
Sure.
So if that kind of is not your bag, this might not be for you. There is definitely a very scary creature. There are jump scares in this. There is gun violence. There is like some like skin conditions that look like burnt skin. And kidnapping, child kidnapping, child death. References to suicide and like visuals of that as well. Like police involvement, graveyards, being buried alive.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Is that, I mean, like grief as a theme.
Right.
Did I miss anything?
That pretty much.
I don't think so. I think that's
covers it.
Comprehensive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, and
there's a lot of themes and things.
A lot of interesting themes, which we will definitely dive into because I'm so curious to hear Jamie's thoughts always on anything that involves someone being a quote unquote therapist. My ghost just put up a thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't know. I can't see it.
My ghost.
But before we get, there it is again. Before we get into things, producer Brian is going to give us some words.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Hi, YouTube. Wow, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
I don't know who that was.
Okay.
I'm not
We
familiar.
appreciate sorry. We appreciate you being here per usual. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for listening to us. If you have those earbuds in your ears, we appreciate all of that. And if you're like, wow, this is a great podcast, you're like, oh, I wish that they had a social media. We do. It's at Talk Horror Pod. Follow us on the podcast Instagram and TikTok. We're doing some real fun stuff there. We're almost at 20K. We want to get to 20K on TikTok, so follow us if you haven't. And Instagram's been popping lately, so definitely check us out there. Something that we also wanted to remind you is it's the end of the year. There's a lot of giving. It's beautiful. And what we would like from you in the spirit of giving is a review. So if you could rate or review us, it really helps our algorithm. People find us, but it also helps our egos. So we really do appreciate that. For instance, one of our fans, one of our listeners, one of our, talking horrorites decided to write something super, super nice. For instance,
do we need to come up with a name?
I literally was thinking, I think we
probably
for our listeners. Yes.
Yeah. Let's think through that one.
Horror
but
heads.
I'm into that. Horror heads.
Horror heads.
Horror
heads. Yeah,
okay,
horror heads.
scratch that. Eliminate that. That's not an option anymore.
Sorry.
So on Apple, Ycli D, Ylacy D. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've seen your name every once in a while, and we appreciate you listening for sure. Update, still loving this podcast. My favorite show of the week. This has quickly become my favorite podcast. The three hosts have great chemistry. They give in-depth analysis, and I look forward to them every week and often go back and re-listen. Thank you so much. That really definitely made our day. We appreciate that. Thank you. And if you
we
know,
have chemistry. Oh my
god, chemistry. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, chemistry. Like in the faculty chemistry.
Oh god, no.
Oh boo. I'm waiting for the like thing to pull you out of here.
The hook.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
That's what we need.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, thank you so much. And that's all I'll say about that.
Yes. Every time. Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was it. I lied.
Every time you say, "Oh, I'm gonna read like a review," I keep thinking you're just gonna like read one from the past. But it's really nice that we're actually getting like new ones every time.
Oh yeah. We get new ones, but we'd love more new ones.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But thank you all so much for taking the time to give a little boop boop comment. Boop boop. All right. Boop, so boop. Before we get into It Feeds, have we watched anything this week?
I think we all have.
Talk about it.
We watched a movie that is a found footage movie. It's independent. It's coming out. If you're listening to this episode when it airs for the first time, it's coming out on Friday, December 5th. If you're listening to it at any other point in time, it's already out and you should check it out. It's called Man Finds Tape. It's an hour and a half long. We love it. We stand for hour and a half films.
Yes.
It's directed by Peter S. Hall and Paul Gandersman. It is basically about this guy who reaches out to his sister with like weird surveillance film of a murder in their hometown, and like they kind of unveil a like huge conspiracy that they're figuring out together, and it's kind of a little supernatural, but I'll stop there because chaos ensues. It's a weird fucking movie. And I mean that in the best way possible. It's a really interesting found footage movie as well. We are huge supporters of independent cinema. You should definitely check it out. But the cool thing is, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we were able to speak with the directors, Peter and Paul, And so here is our, quick interview with the two of them. It's their directorial debut. They had a lot of cool and interesting things to say about the found footage genre, the mental health aspects of their film, the behavioral elements that they worked into it, and just kind of how they made the movie, came up with the story, stuff like that. So without further ado, here is our interview with Paul and Peter from Man Finds Tape. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. We're very excited to talk about Man Finds Tape. We have the two directors here, as we had previously mentioned. So I just want to get right into it because this movie is fucking wild, and there's a lot that we could totally talk about. So Nikisha, why don't you start us off? I know you have some questions that you want to kind of pass off.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you again so much for being here, Peter and Paul. It's so funny because when I think of those names, they are very much in the religious biblical context. So I feel like that's absolutely appropriate with a movie that deals with a lot of religious themes and maybe religious traumas. Or maybe that's my trauma just coming out in that. It was very relatable. I will say that in that sense. But I did want to talk about, since religious topics, religious trauma in horror is such a favorite subgenre of horror, I want to also ask you about your early influences and your early introductions into horror movies. Like, what got you into horror movies, let alone like making a whole one?
You want to go first, Paul? I'll go first. Sorry. So this is
not me, not it. Yes.
I kind of had a long road to becoming a horror fan. I was sort of traumatized by random horror things as a kid. Even simple stuff like E.T. Like when E.T. is, spoiler alert, dead in the river and all grayed out, like that like deeply traumatized me as a child.
Same.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah. So I never
horrifying.
And then in high school when I would watch horror, it would be, with friends at a movie night, and we would go to Blockbuster and pick out some like absurd movie like Seed People or something like that. Something that we were watching as a group and like making fun of it. So I didn't actually really start taking it seriously until my like 20s or college years. And then I really got into it. And I wish I could remember some of the early titles that got me into it, but it was more of a like sudden revelation of like, oh, I actually like horror movies, because like for up until that point, like I spent forever thinking like, oh, I just didn't like horror movies, like they weren't really for me. Though actually, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, in high school there were a few gateway ones, like Final Destination actually is probably one that really sort of got me into it, and it's sort of a big bridge between something like the X-Files, which does count as horror, and I was really into the X-Files, but I wouldn't it's weird that I would watch episodes of the X-Files, but then not want to watch like other big horror stuff. I don't know. It was
we'll take the X-Files. It's very Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone adjacent.
The Twilight Zone sci-fi New Year's Eve marathons is like totally what did it for me, and I didn't really put it together that kind of like led me to certain horror movies until like much later. I was like, oh yeah, like absolutely To Serve Man is a horror. Like are we kidding? Yeah,
I think this is Paul's voice, by the way. I don't know if people are watching or listening or both.
Both, yes.
But I usually tell the story about my dad showing me Aliens being kind of the first gateway into horror. But Peter mentioning E.T. made me remember I was watching E.T. on video on a VHS at our neighbor's house. And yeah, the dead E.T., I started crying and screaming and ran home. And I must have been, maybe 5 years old or something. And so I think that traumatized me, but I think it's good. I think kids getting scared makes them interesting. It makes interesting people, but I think likewise too, my dad loves Twilight Zone, X-Files. I grew up watching all that stuff with him. My mom was very protective of me, didn't want me seeing anything violent, anything rated R. Actually, I remember I loved the movie Dick Tracy. And for Christmas that year, I got the Dick Tracy detective kit, which like had the plastic opened and the gun removed because my mom didn't want me having a gun.
That's so
a
funny.
toy gun.
Wow. Yeah.
you know, my dad showed me Alien, so I think my dad wanted me to kind of experience all these things more so because I think he just wanted a buddy to watch this stuff with.
Fair.
But then I remember I was, let's see, it would be 96, so I was either like 12, 13. Maybe I saw it in 97 because I saw it on VHS. So I was like probably 13. I saw a Scream at a buddy's house, which I was very much not supposed to see. I knew I was doing a bad thing. And I came home the next day from the sleepover and I just immediately told my mom, I watched Scream at my buddy's house. And it was interesting because I saw like a fuse kind of blow out in her mind where she was upset, but then she just kind of goes, oh, well. And the next day she's like, you need to see Rosemary's Baby. You need to see The Exorcist. Like all of a sudden my Catholic mom, who's super protective, she's like, well, and it's like both, I don't think either of my parents would say they like horror movies. They would probably say they don't, but they love them. And so I kind of grew up on them.
That's so interesting because I feel like certain generations have a very specific subgenre of horror that they consider horror versus like movies that can be in multiple subgenres. Like yours fits into multiple subgenres, not just the found footage, but you know, there, you know, a million more religious trauma, you know, all of that sci-fi, like all that stuff. So it's definitely we've seen that a lot in terms of like what people like and what they consider horror based on subgenres. So that's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's as we were talking about it, I was thinking, I was like, actually, I watched a ton of horror like in high school and stuff. I just didn't think of myself as a horror fan until later. But like I was constantly going to whatever the new horror movie was, like every month or so. But I didn't identify as a horror fan until much later.
Yeah.
Which kind of proves the point too. A good movie is a good movie, right? Regardless, even if you're not thinking of it so much as, oh, I'm going to watch this horror movie because I like horror. No, I'm going to go watch a good movie that's interesting to me.
And such a huge spectrum too of like what is considered horror.
Absolutely. And like Brian was saying, especially with this particular movie, I mean, so many different subgenres within this, which keeps you engaged the whole time. And I wanted to ask, since Brian brought up the documentary format of it, I saw a previous statement where you mentioned it was very challenging to write a fake documentary. So I also wanted to ask too, how was it directing actors so that it felt like it was just regular people telling a very real story that happened in their lives?
Well, I think with the actors, a lot of it started in casting, you know, is finding the right people. And we had conversations with everyone we auditioned about this process being different than usual. Yes, we had a full script, all the dialogue written, but we wanted the actors to take that dialogue and reshape it, reform it. So it felt natural. So it sounded like they had life experience when saying these things. We told them just tear it apart, say it however you want to. That's what we encouraged. One of my favorite, we were looking for actors to challenge us and challenge the material. We felt that was the only way it was going to have a chance at having any sort of realism in a movie that is not trying to act real. We're not, you know, it's not like the Blair Witch Project that's new. And if y'all remember back then, they said they tried to act like it was real. We're not doing that. It's a very fantastical movie, but that realism is important to engaging with it. So I remember with Kelsey Probilski, who plays our lead, Lynn, we auditioned her just here in my house, and there's an emotional scene in the movie with her and the brother, and it ends with them hugging, and that's what we were auditioning here with her and William, who played Lucas. And the thing that kind of made Peter and I realize in the moment that she was the one for the movie is the first take we did. I'm just filming on my iPhone in the kitchen, right? And the scene ends with them hugging, and the scene ends and she doesn't go in for the hug. And she kind of turns to us after cut and says, sorry, we just didn't earn it. And Peter and I, that was kind of the moment we were like, oh, this is who we need. Because then they did it again and they did earn it. And we're like, these actors aren't going to do something that is forced just because it's written that way. They're going to get there. And we told them that's, you know, we told Kelsey and William and all these people that's what impressed us, that we wanted them to challenge us. And that did translate onto set, especially Kelsey, who so much of the movie we're looking at through her hands, through her eyes, because she's like, her character's holding the camera. So, we'd say, okay, and now you stand here and get this perfect close-up shot of this effects moment. And she says, I'd be scared of that. I would be backing away. And we needed that. We needed that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Peter, anything?
Yeah, it was the other interesting thing about directing a fictional documentary is the actors were sort of broken out of the normal format of filming where, okay, this is the emotional part of the scene, so it's going to be shot in close up. And it's like, well, we're not doing that. Like, it's going to be shot from a security camera in the corner of the room 20 feet away.
Yeah.
And so I think that actually ended up being a bit liberating for the actors because they could treat it more like a stage play and they could be more in the moment at all times versus being dialed into like one specific emotion because that's what was being captured at the time. And so that when it came to the actors, that was a benefit. When it came to some of the effects work, the special effects work, and the more splattery elements that we eventually get to, that's a lot harder to do in the doc style when you are shooting in a 360-degree set because it's very hard to hide the makeup people and the special effects crew.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
The whole sequence in the Salvation Hour in the third act, we were shooting 360. We were having to hide on the other side of the walls, like trying to monitor mini DV cameras and GoPros, and we were just kind of crossing our fingers. Because basically, when the actors were in that room, like, there's no crew that they could see, so they're just kind of in their own little box in their four walls.
But how
acting.
fun is that, like you said, to leave it up to the actor in the sense of they're acting like they're on a stage as opposed to, like you said, Peter, we have this close up. So it's a different way of presenting yourself as opposed to if it was like a wide shot. So that's really awesome that you let them kind of live in their own bodies in the present moment while moving from beat to beat and scene to scene, because we talk about a lot on the podcast what we call our peopling. Like, do we believe what they are doing, what we are seeing, how they are reacting? So that's great, and it definitely comes through in this where we see the actors taking on real emotions, taking on real actions. And so it doesn't feel like anything is forced. And with that, I know Jamie probably has even more questions about just kind of the human behavior aspect, mental health of it all.
Yeah, but the people were peopling in this movie.
But the people were peopling.
Like, made us feel
That's a good expression. I'm going to steal that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
But you were talking about the casting of the siblings, and they are the lens that we are viewing this documentary through. And I'm curious about like what were the dynamics of their relationship that you were trying to like consider or unpack, whether that's like in casting them or actually like in the movie that you were looking for them to kind of play out.
I think one interesting thing that happened very late in the game is we had actually written Lynn as a younger sister. And a lot of things that happened in casting made the movie better, that fixed our writing with multiple characters. But we were open, we were looking for, again, actors to challenge every part of it. And so we kind of ended up casting a dynamic where Lynn was the older sister, and we started looking at the script, and a lot of these character interactions started to click into place in a way they hadn't just by having. It's not like she's significantly older, right? It's just the concept of just the slightly older sister. All of a sudden, the embarrassment of the older brother became disappointment in the younger brother. It became way more relatable and emotional in an interesting way. Cool. Yeah, I don't know, Peter, what else?
Yeah, I mean the initial, actually had kind of forgotten about that switch that we did until just now, because the initial sort of dynamic between them was always that she was trying to escape their small town and go into a more of a like professional career path, and he was the fuck up who was sort of drawing her back, and we had initially, I think, probably paid more attention to Lucas, the brother's headspace on the page, because it was more forceful in some versions of it, hinting at to like his mental health issues and his recent addiction issues and things like that. And I'm not necessarily the hugest fan of horror movies where it's like the real monster was the trauma along the way kind of thing.
Sure.
Yes.
And so we kind of dialed that back a bit so that it was there, but it wasn't the only thing that defined the characters. But we really liked the dynamic of the two of them sort of, at least from her end, reluctantly coming back. And then we did a lot to track motivations for when she would want to become a part of the storytelling process, and when she literally takes a camera from him like willingly was a big moment for us to sort of nail. And then casting of Kelsey and William also just did huge favors for us, because they knew each other already. They had worked on other films and other shorts and features and stuff together as projects, so they knew each other longer than we had known each of them separately. And so they already, just that the first day, that because we had cast William first as Lucas, and then when we were doing a read with the sort of essentially a chemistry read with Kelsey, and just watching them talk to each other in Paul's kitchen, they felt like brother and sister already.
That's cool.
So that was great.
Yeah.
And when it comes to kind of writing that dynamic, I think it didn't, Peter and I started, if we're going way back, just with the original concepts of what this became. It wasn't about telling a brother-sister story. It was trying to find a way in to create an emotional, like to create this heart that we could all relate to in a really crazy story. Like what's something everybody can relate to, an estrangement of a family member, right? And the concept of forgiveness and needing each other to be the best versions of yourselves. It was kind of just looking for those, emotional through lines that could then spiderweb off into the rest of the story and tap into it. And then once we kind of figured that out, because I think like in our earliest concepts of this, like Lynn was just a journalist with no familial connection to the family and stuff like that. Most of our writing, we start very like literal, practical, these characters, and then try and tie strings between them and what's going to be the most interesting way to connect these people.
Yeah. How did you come up with the idea in general of the religious trauma of it all, and having this pastor and this monster, and the idea of, the town not knowing what's going on, so how can we prove it? Where did that idea come from?
We always knew that we wanted to do a small town horror story. And we live in Austin, Texas, and when you drive 20 minutes outside of Austin, and it's immediately you're passing these towns that look like nobody lives there, and you're just like, what is going on in this tiny little one road town? So that we sort of set that as our destination, and from there kind of backed into figuring out who would be the main characters in that kind of story. So we didn't initially plan to make a religious horror movie. Like that wasn't the conception. But then once you start thinking about who's in these small towns, every small town in Texas has a main street, and they have a sheriff's station, and they have a church.
Yep.
And so it's like, okay.
Looking at you, Lubbock, Texas. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so we landed on, we wanted to do something with the church. And then from there, didn't want it to be arbitrary. Like it's sort of like, okay, that's one of our main players that we're going to introduce into this story. Okay, now how does that fit in thematically? Like how does he start to factor into the horror of it all? And we knew that given our fake documentary structure, even though we had never planned to start the movie with the shot of Reverend Endicott like doing a televised prayer, we were never going to hide the fact that he was a huge part of this mystery. And so we wanted to lean into that. And I think that we're kind of also borrowing hopefully from the viewers' sort of preconceived notions about religious horror. We're like, as soon as you're watching a horror movie, and if a preacher shows up, you're probably going to be like, there's something going on with that preacher. Like it's already, the genre's doing half the work for you. So it's like, well, why not just lean into that? And so I think we had a lot of fun on the page playing with the religious horror and the themes of what is essentially him, giving communion to people in the town, and what that means, and how that is twisted in a different horror way and whatnot. And then once the actor John Golson came on to play Endicott, then it just cranked it up to 11. It was I'm very glad that we made a religious horror movie. It just didn't immediately start out.
That's very
Yeah.
fascinating.
That makes sense. Paul, do you have any added thoughts on that?
I think, in the way we write, it really, we really believe that we're like uncovering what the movie is. When we're creating it, it's kind of like finding the movie, more like archaeology, than building it from scratch. And so I think I'm trying to like remember back, because at this point we wrote it like 5 years ago, but well, because we've got a new script right now that we're working on, so we're kind of like reliving these same experiences where like we think we know what it's about, we think we know the themes, and then all of a sudden we kind of have an idea and we go, oh, wait, we weren't even considering that, but that makes it so much stronger, that connects it to the theme more, sort of thing. So we're very much like, I don't know, Peter and I, this is where we're sitting when we're writing, but we're not on camera together. We have like a Slack channel. I'll have the script on this monitor, Slack over here, and we're basically just tossing a digital tennis ball back and forth for months at a time, and just kind of seeing what makes one of us stop and hold the ball for a second and go, wait a minute, what if? And so it just, like Peter said, we didn't set out to do that, but it just happened. It made sense and felt like, those are the dinosaur bones.
It is one of the religious aspect is one of the things that has stayed around the longest during every form of this, including the name Endicott Carr. That my name is Endicott Carr, 2 T's, 2 R's is like one of the first lines of dialogue I remember ever writing for this. That at least is still in it.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And you mentioned, Peter, just even in the trailer, we talk about trailer failure a lot on our podcast as well, and just things that give the best parts away in the trailer. But I love that you commented on the fact that you wanted the pastor to already be there, just so that it sets you up for what's going on, while there's also still so much more we find out as we're watching the movie. So it's nice that we do get this introduction. We have these preconceived thoughts, but then it still is a wild ride as we're going along. But yeah, Jamie, did you have another question?
Yeah, I have loads of questions, but without but also mindful that, I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm curious about like, we talked about a lot of different themes. I would say conspiracy theories is like another major theme in this. What do you think is so compelling about conspiracy theories, and like why that, also like works really well within the kind of found footage documentary format?
I mean, I think inherently it's a psychological puzzle that you want to solve, right? Like it's like you look at that, you look at a Reddit thread, YouTube videos, whatever. I can understand why anyone can get obsessed with it, because I want to solve this puzzle. I want these pieces to fit together. And then you start taking, emotional, logical leaps to make them fit together. And you start kind of brushing aside things that don't make it fit cleanly together. So it's just a really fun puzzle. I don't know. What do you think, Peter?
I also think that conspiracy theories are one of the sort of first, at least for me, first pieces of like storytelling that you kind of discover like maybe like middle schoolish or something. Like whenever you are first like you learn about Area 51, or like you learn about the Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot. Like there are these initial sort of seeds of ideas that, and they almost seem like taboo to learn about at that age. So like there's actually something kind of fun about them that I've always thought was fun. I've never gone full blown like tinfoil hat conspiracy on too much of anything, but I can, as Paul said, I can easily see how I would fall down those rabbit holes.
Sure.
And speaking of the dynamic, going back to the dynamic between the brother and sister, that was one of the things that we wanted to sort of, tap into but not fully underline, is Lucas being sort of, of the generation that easily gets lost online by falling down rabbit holes. He's not an incel, he's not written that way, but like he is of that generation that can easily become an isolated person who just lives online and is trapped in a community of his own making, kind of thing. And so that's a really interesting dynamic to play with. And then it fits the fake documentary format really, really well, is to explore conspiracy theory, because it's another thing that you can, one of the hard parts of making a fake documentary for us was filling out all of the material, because unlike a traditional found footage film where like a traditional found footage movie like Paranormal Activity or whatever is the characters are pressing record and then they're pressing stop, then they're pressing record and then they're pressing stop. And it's not put together like a full 360-degree documentary. As for us, we needed to have a ton of B-roll and supplemental material and things to add in to flesh out the story and to steal your phrase, to make it the people is make the movie feel like it was bigger than we were showing you. And so going down those Reddit rabbit holes and YouTube comments and creating all of that sort of fake digital detritus was a lot of fun, because it creates this bigger sense that there is a larger story at play.
Yeah. And you never think about that too. The details of just like writing comments under a YouTube video, you know, just to make it all
the Reddit
feel...
rabbit holes. Yeah. When you're chronically online and like everything is just like you're fueling your own opinions and biases with like other people who agree with you. And yeah, you can just like get deep into it all.
And that was kind of what was some of the early conversations Peter and I had, like what's kind of like the opening of the film is kind of, you know, how does a monster operate in the 21st century, right? Hiding in plain sight, or does it exist? Does it not? And for us, it was, how do we tell this kind of a story now with the internet? Like, we can't ignore YouTube and social media. Like, that's a part of it. So, and then you've got people that want to believe everything, and you've got the people that are going to immediately go, that's fake. Oddly or ironically, you know, we put this all together well before the AI video boom was happening, so it's even more relevant because of that. But I literally today, kind of point in case today, Magnolia, our distributor, posted like a reel on Instagram, and you know, I get notified of some of the comments, and some of the comments were like, the Bigfoot thing was disproven years ago, this is fake. And then another comment was just like, fake, and I'm like, yes, it's literally like what we're talking about in the movie. And and I'm not upset at those people for having that response. We're not trying to say Bigfoot was real. Yes, we're posing a question that leads to the rest of the movie, but it was weird seeing that happen.
I'm a Bigfoot. I'm a Bigfoot truther. He's real.
Yeah. I've seen Harry and the Hendersons. I know what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. God. Fantastic. Brian, did you have another question before we kind of wrap up?
Yeah. What is one trivial conspiracy that you like think could be real?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I mean, it's less trivial and more just probably deeply harrowing, but the fact that our microphones are listening to us all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is happening.
Yes, I think it's no longer conspircy, and it's just yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blue rug. Let's see how many ads I get.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I again, for me, to me, this one's obvious. I don't even think it's a conspiracy theory, but maybe that makes it one. I mean, aliens definitely are already on the planet. Like, that's happening. I don't know if it's full like Men in Black level, but like probably closer to that than we all realize.
I'm into that one.
Oh yeah, something's going on. Yeah, for sure.
It's just the odds of it are just, you know, it has.
We're not
to
the
happen.
only people here.
No.
Peter's an alien. Actually, Peter's a robot.
I'm a robot.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Peter's Instagram handle is Peter Hall Human. That's how you guys. He's like, don't worry, guys.
Yeah,
I'm human.
Yeah.
What about your guys' conspiracies, though? I'm very curious. Bartender. I'm curious what you guys believe in.
Mine is, I truly believe that Michael Jordan got caught gambling, and his 2 years of playing baseball was a suspension that they covered
up.
They covered up, and it just so happened to kind of fall in line with the fact that his father was murdered around that time, and it kind of like all worked out so that they could keep the NBA's shine, if you will, but like still, you know, get him his punishment.
I'm sold.
I think that's like a trivial, dumb thing. It doesn't fucking matter. But I think that he and David Stern had like a meeting in 1993 or 4, what is like, hey, this is what we have to do, or something like that. That's mine.
I believe it. He was not good at baseball.
No, he was not.
Not
that
at
is
all.
a good one.
But I'll still stand Space Jam. He can play baseball in
Yeah,
Space Jam. That's
totally.
it.
Absolutely.
But not actually in real life.
Mhm.
Jamie, do you have any? I don't think I have any conspiracy theories. Yeah.
Mine are very silly and like I don't really know how much I believe about them, but I find them fascinating. One of my favorite ones is the idea that Avril Lavigne has like a double out there. Like the current version of
I
Avril
love that
Lavigne
one.
is
I
like
love that one.
somebody else. Nikisha, you're like,
I've
wait, I
never heard
haven't
of
heard.
this.
Wait, really? Oh my
It
God.
goes deep.
Yes.
It goes deep.
Okay. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in a rabbit hole of this, just like in the
Uh-huh.
Yes.
movie. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
check
get caught
Reddit.
up. Sequel: Woman finds tape. Find it.
And the tape is Skater Boy.
Yeah,
On
it's an
repeat for 8
alternate
hours.
version of
It's the
Skater
real
Boy.
Skater Boy with 2 Avril Lavignes in it.
Yeah.
It writes
Man.
itself.
Yeah, done.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys. We don't want to take up all of your time. We know that you have other things or the places that you have to be, but we really appreciate you being here and speaking with us. Brian, send us home.
Yeah, don't forget everyone, if you're listening to this episode before December 5th, Man Finds Tape, you gotta watch it. If you're listening to afterwards, still same message, you gotta find it and watch it. You just can't get it until the 5th. But yeah, check it out. More information is in the description of this episode. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was a really fun conversation, especially with such a wild, really fun, well-made found footage mock doc movie.
Thank you.
We really appreciated it, and we're excited about this. We're really excited to see what you do next, because there's something that really clicked with us in this one. So keep on
Awesome.
keeping on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks so much.
Have a
y'all.
good
This
one.
was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you all.
Cool. Thanks, guys. We really appreciated it. Again,
Woo!
Man Finds Tape, December 5th, 2025. If it's after that date, it's out. If it's before that date, maybe put it on your watch list. But yeah, weird fucking movie. And I mean that in the best way possible. Some really good moments, some wild shit in that movie. So definitely check it out. Some good performances too, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. And like you said, we really want to support independent filmmaking. So please just go out and support that. Yeah. Fun stuff. Well,
Found that
you're
tape.
Man Finds Tape. Get that tape. Get that tape found. All right. But you're here also for It Feeds. So we need to get a plot summary from producer Brian, a 2-minute plot summary, which Jamie is going to time him on.
What's the plot?
Which I feel like should be fairly easy for this.
Yeah, I think so.
I think.
I mean, I'm not doing it, so
That's true. We'll see.
All right, Brian, you have 2 minutes on the clock to tell us everything about feeding.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Ready, steady, go.
The baby has to eat like 3 times, like every single hour, like forever. So you have to make sure you're feeding the baby. But in terms of this movie, okay, let me start again. I don't get the time back. That's fine. Okay, so Alice from Twilight is a supernatural therapist, I guess. She can go into the minds of people and kind of like figure out what's happening. Her daughter helps her with it. We find out that her daughter also has this ability because her father had this ability. A young girl shows up at their doorstep who's being fed on by some demonic creature. And we find out that the dad doesn't want anything to do with that. So she kind of is exploring help for herself. The daughter is willing to help her, but the mom is like, fuck this, because we find out that her dad tried to help somebody with this kind of like demon, and it ended up kind of consuming him, everybody dying, and then the town kind of blaming them. They had to move. So the father is dead, and she kind of like blames this demon and his ability and want to help people. Anyway, the daughter decides she wants to help this girl. So she goes out and finds this girl with the help of the mom's friend, who's a wacky sidekick in this movie. And long story short, the daughter dies, is killed, and the feeder, I'll call it, passes to the daughter. So the mom has to kind of like suck up her shit and deal with her demons to save her daughter from this, feeding monster. They end up defeating the feeding monster, and the daughter kind of like accepts her powers a little bit more. And then the end of this movie is pretty fucking cool, where they actually like do some healing work by overcoming kind of the grief of the father. That is, it feeds in a nutshell, if you will.
Yeah.
I think.
And that's the plot.
That's good.
Woohoo.
Yay.
Way to go.
I was just laughing at you saying the daughter dies and then the feeder gets attached to the daughter. It's like there's so many daughters.
The first daughter, Riley
Yes,
is
of
her
course.
name, I think.
Mhm.
And then so that was so that's that. And I keep having to stop myself from saying it follows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's real.
Because it feeds, but I want more It movies, and not like the clown. I'm talking like It bakes, like It goes in the sauna, like It verbs. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like I'm
yes.
very into like this like chain of movies that we can get, like It drag races.
Right.
It.
I want to see that one.
I'll see It drag races for sure.
Yes. Fantastic.
It gets a haircut.
Ooh, we love to see it. But you got to get a creature feature one in there. Think of one like It Jaws or something, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, It goes swimming.
Yes, there you go. It goes swimming.
Yeah. Cool.
Great. So let's talk about this movie with our segment Trick or a Treat, where we let you know right off the bat, was it a trick? We hated it. Maybe hate is a harsh word, but we didn't enjoy ourselves.
Hate.
Oh,
Hated
sorry.
it.
Jamie said
Fuck
it was
it.
okay. So I'm going to
Oh,
say
that
hate.
wasn't. No, that's not what I said.
Oh.
So Trick, we hated it. Or we don't know exactly how we feel about it, maybe just in the neutral zone. Or Treat, we absolutely loved it.
Trick. Treat.
So, Jamie, Trick or a Treat?
For me, this was a treat.
Producer Brian?
A treat. Definitely a treat.
Amazing. I'm in the I'm neutral.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
neutral about
All
it.
right.
All right. So let's get into the nitty gritty details with the likes and the gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
I'll start since I'm in kind of like the mid, and I don't want you to influence how I feel about it. My
I don't want
initial
you to influence me either, but I'll let it pass.
This was also my second time watching it.
Oh, yes. Jamie, what about you?
This was my first time.
Okay, this was also my first time watching it.
So I fed twice, and you only fed once each.
Only fed once. Maybe, and that's maybe why I'm so hungry. I should have fed again.
Maybe I need seconds.
Maybe I need seconds, and then I'll like it better.
Yeah.
But I watched this movie the night before we recorded it, truly at like 10:30 at night in my bed in the dark. And so what I will say, I have to set the atmosphere, because I will say that added to the atmosphere and the ambiance of the movie, especially because there were so many jump scares, more than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I thoroughly enjoyed them. I think that I'll start off with why I am neutral to this movie.
Okay.
I'm neutral to this movie because I feel like we've just seen the same types of themes and things done in other movies. And I guess my brain at the moment was wanting something completely different and new.
Okay.
I will, and I compare it, and I probably shouldn't, but I compare it to, so many other movies that deal with grief in regards to like a parent death, or like in regards to a therapist trying to get through their own grief. And I am trying to not spoil what my suggestions are in this, but we've seen these things before. And even with some of the jump scares, one of them, I immediately thought of the movie that I'm going to suggest later on, based on the first time that we see the monster, or the first time the mom, Alice from Twilight, sees the monster behind Riley.
Sure. As a reminder, this is a pro Twilight podcast. So when we mention Twilight, it is a good-natured reference.
It is. And I also just have to, I'm so mad at myself because right before we hit record, I was telling everyone that I have just decided to not remember names anymore. And so I just say, oh, the therapist or the daughter. And then Jamie was like, oh, you mean Alice from Twilight? And I was like, what? That's Alice? How did I not put 2 and 2 together? And I'm so upset at myself. But here we are. So now she's going to be Alice because I will remember that name.
Yeah, great.
I thought the performances in this movie were great. I thoroughly enjoyed the relationship between Alice and her daughter. And my favorite millennial crush, Sean Ashmore, and his daughter. Every time I see him on screen, I'm like, what a beautiful man.
And there are 2 of him.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I think I just found that out too.
That he's a twin.
That he's a twin.
And they're like,
and they're both
actors.
And so it was like, this twin did these movies and this twin did these movies.
Like one of them is Iceman and the other one was on,
exactly
CW's Smallville or whatever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. And then one of them is X-Men. One of the X-Men.
Yeah, Iceman.
Yes. Oh, Iceman. That's what you said. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Icy. He's so icy.
He's so icy.
Ice baby. So good.
Elsa.
But yes, love him. Yes, so I enjoyed the performances in this movie. I love how this movie is not rated either, because I had to go back and be like, what is this? There's so many like jump scares, and I thoroughly enjoyed the creature in this movie. And I love the design. The creature design was great. And you know what? I think we talk about too on this podcast a lot, whether we like it if they show the monster or if they don't, or just that kind of line being drawn, right? Of if we see it too much, then we kind of get desensitized to it, and it's not as effective as if it were, like a Jaws, and we're waiting to see the monster. And so the anticipation of it, like, that's what makes the thing scary, the tension building of it all, right? I feel like this had a great line of like showing the monster and not showing the monster, or like seeing the chaos that happens or the result of the monster attacking or feeding on someone without it necessarily like always showing when the monster is feeding, right? So I thought I did a really good job of that. I thought that the story moved pretty quickly. Like I didn't feel like there were a lot of spots that were very slow in this, which was also really nice. I loved how how Alice, she changes clothes every time she goes into the minds of different people. I just thought that was such a random thing. Like, why are you doing that? But yeah, she's like, wait, I'm a new person. I gotta get outfit change. And then she had that badass
Every mind is a new runway.
There you go. I'll take it. Every mind is a new fashion sense,
Yeah.
But of course, like when we'll get into this, the themes on grief and the monster is always attaching itself to the most vulnerable parts of ourselves, which end up being the parts that are the darkest, the sadness, whatever, the anger, whatever we're dealing with, the monster is always like attaching itself to that. So I guess it's just hard to find new ways to keep saying that same thing. I think what I liked that was new about it was that the therapist wasn't a therapist, and she is like a cool mind reader, but again, it's still like the same things that we've seen before. So I guess I'm not saying that I hate this movie, which is why I wanted to state I'm in a neutral place. Like this is a good movie. Is it life-changing? No. Are there other movies that I think might have done some of the themes better? Yes. But it's good for what it is. Yeah, I think that's all that I have to say about this. I'm screening through my notes, but yeah, I thought this was just like a decent movie, and I had a good time. And again, all for no lag time in this. There's action happening. We get right to it. Immediately she's in somebody's mind, so we know what's going on. So I appreciate
that opening sequence was pretty good.
It was great. Yeah. And I also just love the fact that every time she is going into people's minds, it's like their little inner child that she's trying to help. And so it's just like, oh, I'm trying to help, like, the small child inside of you. So I thought that was a really cool thing and a really cool concept. And it's Canada, not to be stereotypical, but Canada can be a little bit reserved sometimes. And I'm like, this is intense as far as like the jump scares and stuff. So I'm like, great.
Thanks, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Canada. We appreciate you.
Canada.
Yes. So that's all I have to say about it. It's a good movie. Maybe I'm more in between and Treat.
I like how no one else has said anything yet.
No one said
You're
anything.
convincing yourself.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is what I have to do, Jamie. I have to talk things out to make sense of them. I'll just be writing my notes down while I'm watching it, but in reflecting, now that I've had time to reflect, I'm like, no, this was good. I like it.
Yeah.
And maybe also because now that I know it's Alice, immediately like
You're like,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
love this movie so much more.
I stand this movie so hard because of Alice. That's it.
I get it.
Yes. Great. Producer Brian, what are your thoughts on this?
Sure. So this is my second time watching it, and I really like this movie. And I like this movie. This movie is not going to be in my top 10 of the year. It's not going to be in my bottom 10 of the year. It's going to fall somewhere right in the middle. And honestly, sometimes I just want a movie like that. This has like hardcore 2010 horror movie vibes. Like it reminds me of a million other movies that I won't mention because we'll probably talk about them in the suggestions part of our podcast, but it feels like so many 2010s horror movies, and there is nothing wrong with that, and that's kind of the vibe that I wanted. Some things that I really liked about this movie are the acting, as Nikisha had mentioned. I just think it's really clever in general. Specifically kind of like the use of this like supernatural therapy, which I thought was cool. I thought the visualization of like her trying to help the inner children, but it's not like she's magic where she's like, come with me, inner child. Like they're like, no, I'm going to stay in this cage. Like this is real trauma. And then there's a like silly B plot where it's like, I just had a hunch, to the police, like find this guy. It was just a hunch. Like I love that shit. And so I really enjoyed it on that level. Like Nikisha said, it clips along. The jump scares are great. Also, I think that the plot twists in this were very unexpected. Meaning, like, I did not expect Riley to die in the middle of this movie. Does it make sense that that's how it passes to the, Alice's daughter? Absolutely. And that needs to happen for them to get closer and for her mom to, like, jump back into the grind. You know what I mean? But, like, I didn't expect, like, that twist at all. So that was really fun. I thought that this was a great wacky sidekick character. I think that she was a lot of fun. Tonally, is she different than the rest of the movie? Absolutely.
Yes, she is. Thank you for bringing that up.
She's in a different movie, but I still enjoyed her. But I feel like a lot of those 2010 movies, like let's take The Conjuring, for instance, like it's like super serious. Then you have these like fumbling idiots coming in to like do a paranormal investigation. You know what I mean? There's always like that like weird comedy of the time, but like up juxtaposed to like this like dead serious whatever. Anyway, I did enjoy her. I liked the rules. I thought the rules were very clear. I thought that they didn't need to be explained any more than they did. I totally, latched onto it. I fed on it. I thought the special effects were really good overall in this movie.
Agreed.
I liked the monster design, and just in general, like I turned this on from a suggestion on TikTok. I was like, okay, this is from this year. It's another 2025 movie to kind of like check off my list or whatever it is. And I just like really dug it. Like this is, I don't know. It brought me a weird nostalgia for a time that, it's not like it's not doing anything better than those movies. It's not doing anything worse than those movies. We've seen better movies dealing with grief. But my number one like about this movie, surprisingly, is the end. And I mentioned it a little bit in the plot summary. Usually a movie will just like have the mom and help the daughter. They hug, trauma over. You know what I mean? Like, and then we end with a jump scare where it's like, oh, the feeding monster didn't go away. Watch out for it feeds too. Return to the feeder. But this one.
Or it's like the bleak ending where it's like, you can never get over your trauma.
Yeah, totally.
That's real.
What I liked about this movie is it took a whole beat to finish this movie off by having the mom go into the daughter's mind and like and have them kind of like relive the death of the husband and father, and kind of like try and work through that trauma together that they've both been kind of avoiding in different ways. And I don't remember the last time I fucking saw a movie where they're still doing the work at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
like
absolutely.
And like to me this is like what this movie is trying to say is like the work never ends. Like and that's okay, but you can be in an okay place and still work on yourself. And I think that that's like pretty grown up, to be totally honest. Like I feel like a lot of horror movies just treat trauma as like, well, you did the thing, moving on, if you survive. Or like Jamie said, like, you did the thing, still fuck you, like smile monster.
It's like very black and white as opposed to what it really is, which is like there's going to continuously be work.
Totally. And this isn't perfect, but this is more gray than a lot of other movies in a good way. And I really appreciated that. That kind of stuck with me from this movie. In addition to the fact that like halfway through, I'm like, fuck, this is kind of good. Again, I went in with very low expectations and came out like fun times. My dislikes about this movie, I feel like some of the things that people would say they dislike about it, I liked about it. Like the derivative nature of like 2010s horror movies, I really liked. I liked the tonal shift of the sidekick lady. I thought that a lot of these characters were justified and not annoying in a way. Like I feel like this could have been like, oh, don't lose your powers, and then the daughter's like, oh, mom, let me use my powers. Like I didn't feel that way. Like there's lots of movies that are like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh my God, shut the fuck up and just get to the third act. This one I was like kind of invested in like how they were going to get to the third act, especially because I made the assumption the first time I watched this movie is that the mom and daughter would team up together and help out Riley. But like Riley fucking dies, and then and then we're in like, and I just thought that was badass. And that they have these people trapped in the basement, and like they're having them feed on other people so they won't feed on Riley. Like I just think that's really fucking cool. Not like don't do that, but like I think it's cool narratively. Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah, so cool. Even you can kidnap people and have your monster feed on them. So that's wowie zowie. So that's why I liked it. I just like that's why it's a treat for me, because one, my expectations were not low, but like non-existent. Two, it just reminded me of movies that don't get made in the same way anymore. And then three, sometimes I don't want something that's going to be like, wow, that's Sinners, or like, oh my God, this is Hell House Lineage. Like this was like, fuck, this was good. Like I'm glad that we're getting movies like this that aren't like, that are just like nice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was a nice movie. It was a nice horror movie.
So nice.
So nice.
The monster was just so nice.
Yeah. I was like,
nice
oh, you want more soup? You want more soup to feed?
Oh, not the soup.
I don't know. You like soup?
Not the weapon soup.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Right. That's where I went when you said soup.
Yeah. Good.
Then, no, it's so funny. Well, I love that you mentioned the end and how it was still getting the work done, because I feel like that's just so true in the things that we talk about with tropes as far as mental health in horror movies, and how when Jamie gets on her rage about it, that I love, just about how mental health is depicted in horror movies, because they just want it to be, oh, this is a horror movie, so it has to be the worst of everything, and there's no happy ending, and we're just dealing with this always until the end of time, because it's a horror movie. Like fuck them kids, as opposed to like we can have a horror movie with good jump scares and stuff, but it still land in a place that is more realistic, which is nice. Also, you mentioned nostalgia, and it just reminded me, in talking about Alice being a part of Twilight, if you remember way back in the day, a movie called 17 Again, not the one with Zac Efron, but the one with Tia and Tamara Mowry, the detective, the black detective was in that movie. And
oh, really?
Yes. He played the younger version. So like the grandma and the grandpa are the one that becomes 17 again. And he played the younger version. of the grandpa. And of course, Tia or one of them played the younger version, but there was one that was already like a teenager of the time. So they're like, oh my God, we look alike. Anyway, but if you have not seen the Tia and Tamara Mari, 17 Again, the detective is in that movie. So that also nostalgia, just like, oh, look at these actors still going. Love to
Sister,
see
never
it.
knew how much I missed you.
It's a great TV show. Just throwing that out there, you know. Great. Brian, do you have any other likes and gripes?
No.
Right.
No.
All right, Jamie, go for it.
So yeah, I agree with a lot of the things y'all said. I do have a gripe, and it has to do with the fun sidekick.
Okay.
Because it's my understanding that Agatha is supposed to be a former patient
Yes.
of Alice's Twilight, and her involvement with everything definitely feels like several ethical lines are crossed. And again, I know that she's not like a therapist proper, but I do feel like, she explains to her daughter that there are rules in place to protect them. And that does feel very akin to like, the ethical guidelines and licensure requirements that anybody who has a license, and that's not just social workers, that's like medical providers, that's nurses, we are beholden to an entity that is like making sure that we're following all the rules. And so while they might not have that because she's not really a therapist, there's still lines that, they want to maintain in order to protect themselves and like boundaries. So I'm very curious about like what are the rules when former clients like are re-engaging in your life, because she even said when she was asking questions at the hospital speaking with a current client, she was like, I know I shouldn't be here. So like there's a lot of things that feel like this crossover of like, are they trying to make you think that she is a therapist? And that's kind of why I was like in between before, because I do think that there are things that they're pulling from therapy practices. I think that like obviously she's using this like supernatural tool that she has to help people, to help them, work through maybe things that are much deeper under the surface, like in their subconscious or unconscious, that are playing out in the present. And like that's, there are things that they're trying to work through, which like I understand from a supernatural, not real life standpoint. And then also, are there like comparable modalities, like therapeutic modalities that are trying to work similarly in like, targeting memories or experiences that like, are deeper down under the surface, and how they might continue to be impacting us, not necessarily in a I'm experiencing flashbacks constantly way, but more so in a, when I am revisiting this event that happened in the past, it is causing me to have an intense reaction in the present. So like I think that there is this like Venn diagram between, I mean, I guess she's technically a psychiatrist according to the Wikipedia. I don't remember them saying explicitly that she is a psychiatrist.
Right, I don't either.
But like it does very much seem like she's using her skill from the perspective of a mental health professional. So that's the way I'm framing it, which again is why I'm confused as to her continuing to engage with Agatha in a variety of ways that is like boundaries are being crossed. Because like one of the most important rules that you learn above all else is like the relationship is, it's one way, and once you are done working with that client, like there is no more relationship with them. You can't become friends with them. You're not following each other on social media. You're not like hanging out. Like your role is to like be their therapist, and once that work is done, even while you're working with them, like there's still that same line of like, I'm your therapist, we're not friends, we can't hang out, like you can't message me on Instagram, like none of these things are okay, because it then starts to interfere with the actual therapeutic relationship. The point is that we don't have any relationship. So
Right.
me being on the outside allows for there to be the actual like awareness gathering and insight gained. And once those lines become blurred and crossed, it can also pose a lot of other challenges. Like, is Alice from Twilight and Agatha friends now? Like, what? Like, she was home. She was in her home while her daughter was sleeping to like make sure that she was okay.
Right.
She let her daughter into her home. She's like, I mean, her daughter's also crossing lines by asking about this person.
Sure.
So like there's a lot of like lines that seem to be crossed if we're coming at it from the perspective of like this is a mental health professional.
Yeah, I think we should.
So
I mean,
that's
yeah.
that's really my only gripe with this, because I'm like, okay, I'm wearing therapist hat and like that's not what would happen. Again, knowing that like I'm also not using my ability to read people's minds as a therapist to help them.
You can read minds?
What?
What?
But yeah, it's like the movie makes you think it's going to, at least this was my perspective. I also had very low expectations going into it. I kind of was like, okay, Ashley Greene, whatever, like this seems silly. But then it really surprised me in, again, not only the performances, but they did a really good job with the monster design. It was scary, but they didn't like do these full reveals constantly, so that like there was still some mystery. And I think the jump scares with that were really effective. I know it's shocking to know, but I did get jump scared in this.
You did?
One time I did get jump scared, and now I can't even remember when it was, but it was just like, the monster was there behind somebody unexpectedly.
Was it in the room?
Just popping. When she was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I also like that you don't really get like the origin of the monster. Again, like by jumping right into it, I like that there isn't a lot of information that we have. We're just going off of like, this is what we know in this moment. So like, let's try our best, which also feels very real life, right? It's like we don't have all of the information when we're making decisions, especially in like crisis situations. It's like we're just kind of reacting, and we're reacting or problem solving with the information we have in that moment, and we're always trying to do our best, like we're not trying to make bad decisions intentionally. So to that end, like I feel like that adds a layer of humanity into it. And there was definitely like a lot of unexpected and like really sad beats. Again, like the daughter dying so early on was really shocking. And then the fact that like, then it's like, okay, Shawn Ashmore, why are you still here? Like, what are we doing? And I was like, okay, I believe that it's like this revenge plot. But then it really throws you when he's like, no, it attached itself to you. And like, I need to kill you so it doesn't kill anybody else.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that was unexpected. Like, it's obvious to us that like the monster is attached to her, but I was not expecting him to come back and be like, no, I'm going to put a stop to this now. And like,
I know it's attached to you now.
Yeah. And he also, I mean, I think maybe another minor gripe is like, I understand that he's doing this to save his daughter after seemingly it seemed to have happened to his wife, and when she passed, then the daughter took it on.
Right.
So like we're understanding that he's doing something in order to save his daughter, but he really doesn't seem to have like any remorse over anything, even the fact that it's like complex, right? It's like, I understand your motivation to save your daughter, but like you're still doing something terrible in order to accomplish this. But there doesn't seem to be any like, he says to her like, this is the last one, and then like we can go and like whatever. But like, I don't know, he just seems pretty
just like
heartless.
This is what we got to do.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's just me being like this bleeding heart, being like, really, you like don't give a shit about any of these people you killed, or if he's become so desensitized to it because he's had to do it, for his daughter's life, in order to like keep her, alive. but yeah, that bummed me out.
Sure.
But yeah, this movie just really surprised me in a good way, and it when we get into suggestions, there's a lot of different beats that it reminded me of, so I'm excited to like talk about those too.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. Okay. Well, if anyone does anyone have anything else to add before we move on?
Oh,
I
I
don't think
just
so, but
liked.
talking about feeding has made me hungry.
I'm hungry too. I'm
Same.
thinking about having a bowl of cereal when we're done with this.
Word.
I did like at the beginning where they have the whole thing with Riley, and then they're like, "Oh, the other client is still decompressing in the living room."
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
funny. That was really
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, I will
Yeah.
say I'm always fascinated by therapists who do work in their homes.
Mm.
I'm very intrigued by that. There was like I mean, I'll never be able to own a home at this rate, but I remember, being like, "Oh, that would be so cool. You like have your separate entrance, and then you have like
Yeah.
another bathroom there, and like there's no waiting room because they would just like, if you have an appointment, you're just coming at that time."
Sure.
And yeah, that's always just like so interesting to me.
Yeah.
But also
Yeah.
scary.
A little scary.
Yes, but I think that there is something. I mean, I can't speak for all therapists, especially therapists who work out of their homes, but something that they show in the movie is the daughter screening new clients, and part
Mhm.
of that process is you're evaluating like if that client is a good fit for you. Like it goes both ways, where like a client is trying to ascertain if like that's a good therapist for them, but as the therapist you're trying to evaluate, is this person like appropriate for me to treat them? And I imagine that like for people who are being seen in therapist homes, that they are, that the therapists are doing thorough assessments to evaluate even before they do like a first appointment. This is like just to find out like, are you a good candidate for therapy with me, and also like for coming into my house? And obviously like you can't anticipate everything that's going to happen, but I
Yeah.
think there are things that you can uh like rule out when it comes to like crisis situations, where it's like,
Sure.
okay, like also like that person might need a higher level of care anyway, so it probably wouldn't even be appropriate for them to do like a once a week outpatient like therapy situation. They might need
Mhm.
like something more intense. So that's
Right.
part of what that assessment is supposed to do. You're evaluating like, what are some of the flags that I need to be aware of? Are there things that people are coming in that I am not an expert in? I actually get inquiries, like me personally, a lot, where people are, they want to meet, but the things that they want to meet about are not things that I'm trained in at all. And like I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
no problem with sharing with people like, that is not my expertise, and that doesn't mean that like your problem is like too challenging to handle. It just means like
Sure.
I personally don't have any training in this, and so I want to make sure that you're meeting with somebody who like is actually trained and can do this work with you.
Exactly.
So that's also part of like the screening process, is to make sure that you're setting people up right. And I think that that's a really important thing, especially when people are coming into your home.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, since we're already getting down to the nitty gritty of therapy talk, let's
Nitty-gritty.
get into our next section. Brains.
We're feeding on those brains today.
Yeah, we are.
Ooh,
Slurp, slurp.
super tasty.
That's a good brain.
What?
Maybe not
Slurpee.
slurp. A good old Slurpee. Well, you already were talking about it, just the screening of it all. So I guess my question to you is, how do you feel about the daughter being the one to screen the clients for the mom? And we understand that it's kind of to protect the mom before she like gets into a situation where she's overwhelmed or seeing something that she doesn't need to see or whatever the case may be. So it kind of goes through the daughter first. But like you were talking about protocols earlier, and I feel like this is breaking some rules.
Yeah. Well, again, the dynamic here is unusual, but that doesn't mean that there haven't. I guess I'm speaking from like I was going to talk about like research based and like famous people. Like I know why I can't think of a single name off the top of my head right now, but like there are people who have like worked with their children on like big research um uh mental health like modalities and stuff. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's something, but I don't think that that's like the same as involving your child.
Right. In like the screening process of.
Yeah, it's like it's a little iffy.
Yeah.
But okay, I thought of names now. I was like, why can't I think of the people that I want to talk about?
Talk about.
So cognitive behavioral therapy,
Yes.
we've heard of her. The founder of cognitive behavioral therapy is Aaron Beck, who also was a professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Pennsylvania. Just throwing that out there.
Come on.
His daughter is Judith Beck, who also has done like all of her work in cognitive behavioral therapy,
Mm-hmm.
who also got her doctoral degree from the University of Pennsylvania. So like there are like, historically there have been relationships of like parents and their children working on the
Doing
same
the same
things.
work. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think also like the one like asterisk to this situation in the movie is that this is also a skill that the daughter has. And so I wonder like, does that then kind of adjust what some of the rules are in terms of like if this was like a proper therapy space, what role would the daughter have in screening potential clients? Like, is the daughter
Mm-hmm.
an employee? Is the daughter like in training as a mental health professional? Are they sharing information like, in an ethical way as colleagues, or like maybe the mom is like supervising her? It's already kind of a weird situation potentially, but I think that if there were again like these ethical boundaries in place, then it might be okay, despite the fact that they're, parent and child.
Right.
But yeah, I wonder if part of it is just like the fact that the daughter has this power that like, she's not really using or like
Sure.
needs to continue to be trained in. And so maybe this also allows her to like develop that skill set because she's then evaluating like, is this a good candidate for this?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's some of it kind of gives me like yellow flags, but in the context of the movie, I'm like trying to justify it.
Right. So we're not going straight to red flags. It's like
Yeah,
just kind of in the middle.
maybe.
Okay.
I
That
think
makes sense. In the context of the
possibly.
movie, great.
Sure.
Totally
Yeah,
understand.
totally.
Great. So the mom makes the statement, mind over body, I guess in relation to how she operates with her clients. And so I just wanted to ask, do you believe that we can kind of overcome, process, heal our trauma better through the idea of like listening to our mind and letting that guide us? Or is it a better way to, there's in cognitive behavioral therapy, if we're talking about it, like just feeling your feelings, right, and letting your body kind of lead, like if you're tired or if you're grieving or whatever the case may be, like just letting it, just sitting with that and not
Mm-hmm.
letting your mind be like, you can't do that right now, turn that off. So I guess my
Mm-hmm.
question to you is, since the mom said mind over body, like how do you feel about that comparison in healing trauma?
Yeah.
Good question.
I think that this is like a very like personal but like professional personal question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that there's a lot of different answers to this question depending on what your approach is to the work that you do. For
Mm.
me personally, as somebody who kind of started my therapy career with CBT, then eventually in with cognitive behavioral therapy, then eventually got trained in EMDR, which is the eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, which again is like using rapid eye movements to reprocess some of the trauma that you've experienced so that when you are thinking about the trauma, because we can't forget it and it doesn't go away, but how it's impacting us in the present is not as overwhelming. Um, so those things, uh, and then also, so I haven't done it yet, but I'm looking into doing some like official somatic trainings. So my
Nice.
practice has really evolved from like more of the cognitive specific work to more of the like somatic, like feeling in your body work. Like I'm making this shift, but I'm not forgetting the CBT work because I do
Yeah.
think that it's still effective with certain things. So like my approach is like eclectic. I'm pulling from all of these different things based on like what's happening in the situation because there isn't like a one size fits all
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
I think that all of these tools can be effective with trauma. Obviously, there's like, research about EMDR specifically being effective with trauma. Like it is like this has been studied and researched with like somatic experiencing and somatic processing. It's also supposed to help with trauma and anxiety and like a whole slew of other things. But I think that ultimately, like, again, for me personally, that there is this connection between like, how we're thinking about things, how we're feeling about things, and how that is manifesting in our bodies. Like when I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling it very physically in my body. I feel like it's hard for me to like catch my breath. I feel this like gnawing, uncomfortable like tension in my chest that like it does not go away. My body gets like really like hunched and like it's closing in on itself kind of
Yes.
feeling like I want to be
Yeah.
small, like turn into like a little ball.
Yeah.
And like those are the things that like when I start to actually notice what's going on in the and like it's not that I'm not aware of these things. I'm very aware of how my body feels in those moments, but it's like making those connections between like, okay, I'm feeling this way, but like nothing is actually happening in this moment. So like where is this coming from? And like
Right.
what is my body trying to tell me about what's going on in this moment? Like you can kind of evaluate all kinds of things. You can also then on the flip side use your body as a tool to like cope with what's happening or like, address like what's happening like physically or somatically as a way to like ground yourself. But like I find it really helpful to like move between the thinking, the feeling, and the body stuff like
Yes.
interchangeably, not interchangeably, but like the flow state between these three things. Cause I also find that like people tend to, at least in my experience again, people tend to really resonate with like one of those three, sometimes two, sometimes all three, but like usually it's like one. There's people who are very good at rationalizing and intellectualizing things, and it's like, okay, they're not living in like the feelings space, or at least they're not comfortable exploring those feelings just yet. They're very comfortable with being like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way because X, Y, and Z. But it's like, but you
Yes.
are feeling that way because
Sure.
you just named it, but you're really good at like dismissing it, but that's not actually getting rid of the feeling. So then it's like, how do you get into that? And usually instead of just being like, you just got to feel your feelings. Usually I'll start with the body stuff
Yeah.
because I think that's like sometimes an easier entryway, because unless you are so disconnected from your body, which also can happen sometimes with trauma, like that's where like all the dissociative things on the spectrum come in, is like a lot of it is trauma responses. But I find that like people usually can like do some like body scanning work where you're like just kind of going through and figuring out like, okay, where am I feeling something, what am I feeling, what might that feeling be telling me, or like, is that like physical feeling, is that connected to like an emotion that I might be feeling? There's like all kinds of things that you can do, but I like that as like the entryway into getting into the feelings, because it's like, okay, like you're holding a lot of stuff here, like you're clenching your hands, like, when did you
Right.
notice that you started doing that, and what was happening in that context, and where might that have been like contributing to, something else that's going on? So like I I really enjoy kind of connecting the dots between all of them.
Sure.
And again, I think that there's a lot of different philosophies and tools and modalities that people use in addressing this very specific like question. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
And
We can even
the
talk about like inner child, uh what's it called? IFS, internal family systems, where it's like not just inner child work, but it's also like that there's different parts of you.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about the parts work a little bit
Yeah,
before on the
I forget what
podcast.
episode, but we did. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, there's a part of you that's like scared, there's a part of you that's angry, that like it's not this like, this whole all-consuming entity within you, but like there's pieces of you that are feeling different things. And what might those pieces be trying to tell you or protect you from? Or like, or when do those pieces, like come about? Like what
Mm-hmm.
created that like scared part of you? What created that
Right,
angry part of
right.
you?
Sure.
And like sometimes that work also can like be connected to trauma. So there's
Mm-hmm.
again, like there's so many different modalities now. And I do think that there is this shift away from the like very like rigid CBT is fairly rigid if you're doing it exactly the way that it's designed, which don't tell
Fair.
anyone, but I'm not. But moving away from like some of these rigid modalities and moving into the more like somatic and like feelings kind of things, which I'm in favor of. What I don't like is how gatekeepy they are and how expensive they are to get trained in. So I'm
Yeah.
just putting that out there that there's something's happening there, and I am not a fan of it. I will not be getting
Yeah.
trained in the IFS because it's a lottery, and then it's also like 4 figures to get the training. So
What?
I don't
Damn.
have the time to wait nor the money to fund that type of training. Yeah, it's expensive and like nearly impossible to like actually get into it.
The lottery aspect, that is also crazy.
That's wild
Like,
because people want to learn to try to help other people, and you're leaving it up to just a lottery to
Yeah,
decide
like what
who's
is this, a
gonna.
concert?
Right.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is stuff that
This
people
is
need.
Ticketmaster, and then they're upcharging you with
Yeah.
fees.
That's
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
dumb.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Wow. That's
Sorry.
intense.
And I'm not, this is like no shame to the actual training. Cause again, I think that
Sure.
I think this work is super important. I just don't like
Yeah.
that it feels really gatekeepy to get into it. Kind
Well,
of
it's
like a lot
important.
of mental health stuff in general, but I don't have time to get on my soapbox about
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's important, and so it should be shared, like because
Mhm.
people need it. So, you were also mentioning my next question was going to be about like the inner child and like why is that so specifically important to mental health? You kind of touched on it a
Mhm.
little bit. Do you have any other thoughts about that?
I mean, I think that I think that there is this like stereotypical, representation in media about like inner child stuff. So I feel like it comes up a lot. But I do think that there is something to going back in your like personal history and trying to figure out like where certain, patterns came from and
Mm-hmm.
like the things that you might be experiencing again in the present. Like we didn't just like do that out of nowhere. So it's like, when did we start to do those things? When did we learn certain lessons? When did we
Right.
develop certain behaviors, certain perspectives of ourselves and the world? When might have like some traumas impacted us in ways that like we're still trying to make sense of? So I feel like revisiting the past a lot of the time can help just understand ourselves better, and then you can actually like address some of those things, to then change how you're feeling in the here and now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that work can be really helpful. Also, if there's like unresolved things, because I think a lot of times like we don't like things to be unresolved. We like things to end neatly with a little bow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So like if we weren't able to like kind of work through some of those things in the past, that also might feel like it's holding us back. So how do we like heal those parts of ourselves, where we're not like forgetting that these things happen, but again, it's like how do we cope and move forward and like honor our inner children, in ways that like make sense for us. I feel like a lot of people like, you know, being chronically online and also in like a streamer space, a lot comes up about like, the joy that people get from playing video games, is something that like they experience as children. And it's like,
Yep.
why, like, just
Sure.
because I'm an adult now and I pay taxes means I can't like do the fun things I did when I was a kid. Like,
Right.
says
Mhm.
who?
Right.
Yeah, who
So,
made that
we're
rule? We like
continuing.
rules here, but not those kind of rules.
But not those rules. You're
Yeah,
not hurting
no.
anybody by playing a video game.
So it's like, why can't I play video games? Why can't I like collect my multitude of little like trinkets all over my desk and like,
Yeah.
the pretty rocks that I have, and like let me
Mhm.
do what I want, right? Like it's not hurting anybody else. It's only hurting
Mm-mm.
my own wallet, and this is a choice that I have consented to. So like,
Yep.
but I think that there's something to like just being able to like freely tap into those things without any of the restrictions that maybe have been imposed on us or that we learned when we were younger. So yeah,
Yeah. No, I love
take care
that.
of your inner kiddos.
Feed that inner kid. Do
Buy
it.
that thing you want.
You got
Learn
adult
that new
monies.
skill. Yeah, spend your
Yes.
adult monies.
I love spending my adult monies on just like random kid stuff. I'm gonna get a coloring book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have
relaxes me.
adult coloring books that are pretty cool.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Great. And they got, side note, just acrylic, those acrylic markers that don't bleed
Oh,
through the other page.
I hear,
Ooh,
yeah. I have the
nice.
coloring book and I don't have markers. So I need to
Get those
get
markers.
on that. Yeah.
Yes. Amazing. And my last question to you is just something that I wanted to know because I was curious if you knew the rules for this. If an underage child is wanting to see a therapist, like Riley was trying to see Alice, but the parent doesn't give consent, is there any way to work around that, especially if you sense that there might be like the danger within the child?
Yeah. I think that danger is like a key part of that, because I think if it's like if they are in crisis and like they are a danger to themselves or others, then like whatever the parent wants in that situation kind of is no longer the most important factor. And so like that's when it's like the limits of confidentiality. And so like when you're a minor also, if you're at risk of being abused or neglected, which there were some references to child protective services being involved with this family a few times. So like because she's already a minor, if again, as a mandated reporter, it's not your job to investigate it, but if you suspect that a minor is being abused or neglected, on that suspicion alone, you can contact Child Protective Services. So, like, if at any point any of the adults in the situation are like evaluating her and they're worried that she's at risk, but that's slightly different from like actually accessing therapy.
Okay.
I think so. I don't know if it's like a state by state thing, but I do think that there's like certain rules about ages and like which ages potentially can access mental health care without their parents' consent. I there's also like there's like rules about ages, and then I think there's rules about information sharing. That's another one. So like again, as a minor, like a parent might be consenting to start therapy. A parent can sometimes like have access to that information, or more so like if a child discloses certain things to a therapist, the therapist might have to disclose some of those things to the parent. But like once they reach a certain age, they might not necessarily have to. Again, I think that's a state by state thing. So yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Co-
that makes
it
sense.
definitely becomes very complicated when you're working with minors, just around like
Right.
consent and things like that.
Yeah, especially if like the parents can still get like access to whatever is being like said in the session. That's wild. Great. That's all that I have. Should we Rotten Tomatin this?
Let's do it.
Rotten Tomatin.
Woohoo.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
All right. Rotten Tomatoes. You heard it here, folks. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know. I'm gonna say 87.
Okay, Jamie.
83.
An 89.
Okay.
Although the popcorn meter is 59%.
Well,
Shush.
Shush. There's no critics consensus there. What do you think this has on Letterboxd? Again, that's between 0 and 5 with decimal points.
3-3.
I'm gonna go. Oh, okay. I was gonna say 2-9.
2-7.
Yeah.
Dang.
And here are the top 3 reviews of this movie. The first one is, quote, "We get it. You're hungry. It started so well, but the ending was terrible."
Oh no.
Number 2 is a long one. I'll read it quickly. In the introduction, Chad Archibald told the rowdy BIFF audience that they wanted to make a movie that scared the shit out of people, and it feeds a single mother and her daughter, blah, 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 feeding on people. The movie does deliver on the jump scares and is actually creepy. Mission somewhat accomplished. While it digs into a lot of known genre tropes, it has some surprises in store. Third act, we get a gothic version of Inception. I did not see that one coming. Recommended. Okay. A good review.
Okay.
Okay, the number 1 review is the one we want. My girl Alice can't catch a day without having visions.
And that's on Twilight, okay?
That is on Twilight.
And that is
Wow.
on Twilight. Have those visions, Alice.
Hell yeah.
That's what we came here for.
Cool.
That is amazing.
It's so funny.
Cool. All right, should we do our 4 S's of this one? Should we rate it ourselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
All right. What do you think this has in your own head? The 4 S's are skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. Skulls is how well this handled mental health and human behavior. 1 through 10. Scare, how scary was it? Shakes, will it stay with you? What are we thinking? 1 and done. Jamie, let's start with you.
Me? So for Skulls, I gave this a 6 because I think there were a lot of decisions that were poorly made. And like that really brought the score down, but like otherwise in terms of like addressing grief and like helping people work through trauma, I thought that they handled it really well. But I was just like, why is this girl like doing all of this on her own? That is wild.
Busting into the house,
just like
broke into the house.
Several bad decisions. For scares, I gave this a 4. Especially because that one jump scare really got me.
Yes.
And then for shakes, I'm giving this a 6.5. Like I definitely think I would recommend this to folks. And again, like while it might not be in my like top 10 of the year, I still think that this was like a really solid movie.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, mine are similar. I had a 7 for Skulls. 4 for scares, because some of those jump scares really were gnarly. And I'm just gonna put this as a flat 5 because it was good. I mean, it was good.
Cool. I also have a 7 for Skulls. I also have a 4 for scares, and I have a 7 for shakes. I just think that this is a nice horror movie.
Nice.
It's nice.
It's just so
All right.
nice. Yes.
Suggestions, Jamie. Why don't you start us off?
Okay. So these were the movies that this movie felt like it was pulling from. And sorry if I say ones that also on
I'm
your
sure
list.
you will.
So I'll start with the most well-known one. This definitely has some Insidious vibes.
Yes.
Did I take it?
I have more, but that was one of them. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because there was a moment where you were talking about something like earlier that reminded you of one of your suggestions. And I was like, I wonder if it's Insidious, where like the monster is just like there.
Yep. Exactly that. Exactly that.
And then another one that this kind of reminded me of was Night House, another movie that deals with grief. But I think also just like, like the weird house scary dynamic stuff, and just like the idea. I mean, we've talked about Night House, so if you haven't listened or watched it, you should. But sorry, spoiler warning. The idea of like the husband like doing this work that inevitably led to a very unfortunate demise and like, believing in this. Anyway, that's what that reminded me of. And then the last one that this reminded me of is The Offering, which if you haven't seen it or heard of it, I very much recommend it. It's very scary. It's a family, it's a Jewish funeral parlor, and like the son of the owner of the funeral home is like coming home, and things get wacky.
It's really good.
But yeah, the stuff in that, like all the supernatural stuff, like feels very similar to what's happening in this one. So those are my suggestions.
Cool. Nikisha.
Gorgeous. Yes, so I already had Insidious, but you mentioned one, Brian, The Conjuring. That was also another one of mine. But then my last one is Smile. Monster hopping from person to person.
Person to person.
Person to person.
Yeah. Twilight.
Of course.
That's my suggestion. You gotta watch Twilight.
Wow.
You must. And 17 again.
And 17 again, but the Tia and
the Tia and Tamara one, yes.
Yeah, Tamara one, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Fantastic. Great. Well, that wraps up our episode of It Feeds. You can follow us on the socials, Instagram and TikTok at Talk Horror Pod. And producer Brian, where can they listen to us?
You can listen to us wherever you get podcasts. So that's like, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. That's Spotify. That is Apple Podcasts. And rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And
thank you.
How should we end this?
Ho-ah, ho-ah, ho.
Yep,
baby, don't you know what's up?
That one. It's that one. Yeah, that one. Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
There's no baseball scene in this movie.
That's the real gripe. No baseball scene.
Oh my god, yes.
Where's my baseball scene?
Yeah.
Where is it?
With her leg up like wild. I can't do it.
Right. There's this one scene where the leg has to come
straight
up
up.
in some kind of way.
Yeah, she should be contractually obligated to make sure that there's a baseball scene where she shows her flexibility in every movie she's in.
Every movie. Every movie.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.